Hello. Thank you. First of all, welcome you to the SONiC workshop again. My name is Kamal Bhatt, and I'm working as a software product manager at STORDIS. And today I'm going to speak about a tool we developed roughly a year ago. We started this project called MONSOON. Using MONSOON, you can basically monitor the SONiC switches, specifically SONiC switches it is built for. So, as a MONSOON basically is an umbrella project which brings together several open sources. Maybe you have, some of you have already heard the name of the tools which are being displayed here, Grafana and Prometheus. These are widely used tools when it comes to data monitoring, alerting sort of needs. So we are utilizing those tools again into our project called MONSOON. And apart from that, we have also developed a new exporter which will be integrated to the Prometheus that is supplying very much SONiC-specific metrics that we will see in a live demo in a moment as well. So I would like to give, say, a brief words about these tools as well for the people who don't know them. Grafana is basically an data visualization tool which helps user to customize dashboards and have a visual data in form of graphs, pie charts, be it heat map, histograms, and there are literally lots of visualization templates available in form of plugins and inbuilt as well. You can, of course, design your own dashboards, and you can also customize and define alerts on the top of data that is being received by Grafana itself. For example, for a metrics, if you say a particular metrics goes above some threshold, you want to show it to be in form of alerts. That's also possible. And not only showing the alerts, but you can also escalate alerts to different channels. For example, Slack, for example, Microsoft Teams, or send it in the form of a mail as well. So now, where does Grafana gets its data from? So it heavily relies to get data from its data sources. There are officially 17 data sources you can find on their official website. As a part of MONSOON project, our more interest is into the Prometheus. I would like to mention InfluxDB as well, because our friend here, Kamran, would be explaining a bit more on InfluxDB, but as a part of MONSOON, we will be speaking about Prometheus here. So a few words about Prometheus. As I said, it's a data collector software. So it basically, on the basis of configuration, the frequency you have defined, it goes and reads data from the agents. In the typical terms of Prometheus, we call them exporters, which are running on devices. And those devices need not to be necessarily to be a SONiC switch. It can be your laptop as well, any server or anything. So it collects and stores and creates a time series database, which basically Grafana shows on the UI. So metrics are collected and recorded with their timestamps. Prometheus speaks to the exporters over HTTP. And again, Prometheus supports a huge number. I mean, it's a humongous number of the exporters currently available as an open source, which you can install on your device and have the metrics from. SONiC exporter is not yet there as in the list of officially supported exporters of Prometheus, but we are working on that. So SONiC exporter is separately available as an open source. You can install, and it is fully integrated to Prometheus and in this full stack, Grafana, Prometheus exporter, and so on. On the top level, the architecture of MONSOON project, it's very simple. Grafana, I have already spoke about. The just bottom, you will see Prometheus just below the Grafana. And at the bottom box, you will see it's a zoomed in version of switch, you can say. If you have already used or tried SONiC, you know it's containerized operating system. It runs its services in various containers. So we followed the same approach. On the left-hand side, what you see is the SONiC exporter. That is running on each and every SONiC device, and it is the person, it is the software body which is supplying the metrics about the SONiC switch. And on the right side, it's just an example of already available open source exporter in Prometheus, that is node exporter. That is in general very useful. It supplies lots of metrics about the resource usage of your device, whatever it can be. But this SONiC exporter is very specific to the SONiC devices here. So I have mentioned the links as well on the left-hand side below the text. You can go to and check out the links. On the link above of the Prometheus, you will find lots of exporters available. And below, it's an open source GitHub repository link of the SONiC exporter. So now how all these things gel together, how we integrate. So Grafana and Prometheus information is available in public domain, and it's very easy to find out. So Grafana has quite a nice UI where you can say, okay, this is my data collector. Go and speak to him and get the metrics from. So it's UI-based configuration. In Prometheus, there is a configuration file. If you are going with the default installation, it's under etc prometheus.yaml, and you define a job name there. For example, SONiC exporter, and which all switches you want to monitor. These are mentioned under target. And here again, if you are using more than one exporters, for example, in the previous slide, you see the node exporter. So you can define one more job there, and you are done. So Prometheus will start collecting the data for these jobs from that many targets, and will build a time series database. There are a bunch of configuration parameters also available for SONiC that you can see on our GitHub repository as well. This, for example, is a SONiC exporter port. That is 9101 by default, but of course you can change it. You can supply it while starting your Docker container in the environment as an environment variable. So now what all metrics are supported by SONiC exporter as of today? I will briefly mention the SONiC system information. This includes your device version, SONiC version, and lots of other things we will see in the demo as well. Some platform information like power supply units status. Are they operational? Are they inserted? Fan temperature readings from different sensors available on your device. Per interface information, we have quite a huge number of metrics being supplied for every interface you have on your SONiC switch. DOM readings, the stats for your transceivers. We will say VXLAN, EVPN, BGP, static anycast gateway. These metrics are also available. As I said, this is an open source project. So you feel free to add more and more metrics you want out of a SONiC switch. Just for reference, I have also mentioned the Python file at the bottom. Exporter.py is the file that is responsible for doing all that calculation, reading data from the Redis database that is running on the SONiC switch. And sometimes SONiC exporter is also getting data by directly executing the CLI commands. There is a good thing about SONiC CLI commands is that for some commands, if you provide --JSON, then you have output in the form of JSON, and it makes so easy to interact with this output programmatically. So we utilize the CLI as well sometimes. So the class is SONiC collector and init metrics. So if you want, feel free to have a look how these metrics are being collected from the SONiC device. Okay, I will jump into the live demo. I will quickly browse you through how the dashboard is looking like. Maybe some people have already seen it on our booth. We are demonstrating on a small screen. So I will do it here as well. So yeah, of course, you will find some tutorial videos of mine on the YouTube. This is the landing page of Grafana. This is totally customizable. Every panel, dashboard, alerts, these videos, our links to the store direct and the company website are everything customizable. So alerts, I have defined a separate panel as well, and the panel very much looks like this. The alerts I was speaking about are those alerts. So here you can see BGP neighbor status alerts. I have defined some PSU operational status alerts I am receiving. So these alerts are defined on the top of metrics which are being read by Grafana. So Grafana says, okay, if the PSU status value is 0, you can configure inside Grafana, okay, this is an alert. And of course, the escalation policies are also possible to be defined there. So node exporter, I wouldn't go deep, but just have a look. I mean, how many statistics you can get out of a device. This is available in public domain, open source, totally free install. Feel free to expand all these. By the way, this link is available in public, so you can hit this link, monsoon.stordis.com:8080. You will land up in a public demo, and you can browse through the metrics, what this tool is capable of doing. So we are more interested into the SONiC stuff, so quickly jump into this SONiC exporter dashboard. As I have mentioned in the slide as well, there are a bunch of metrics which are supported. These are visual here. General tab, for example. So by the way, I will start from the top. These are the switch you can select one from. I am running a GNS3 virtual topology as well. So what device type it is being displayed here. This is a simulated switch, which is running, of course, I'm running inside GNS3 tool. I have, I think, one real hardware as well running here. This is the real hardware. So this is the SONiC system status. Of course, you see some gaps, some black things. So we switch off the hardware for the power saving sake during the nights. So only during the day this switch is on. So you see the SONiC system status is 1. And below it, we have a general tab where you have a device information like hardware revision, MAC address, ONI version, and lots of those things. Device uptime, memory usage, CPU usage, you can find it in the node exporter dashboard as well, but it's available here as well. Now some platform related information is also available, like fan sensor temperature readings. Yeah. Now it comes to networking. What all L2, L3 information is supported, it's mentioned here, so you just need to expand it. For example, multi-chassis lag. If I have configured, I don't have any configuration there or a messed up configuration. So whatever it is, it is showing out there. I guess I have some configuration on this GNS3 device. Okay. So when I switch to this GNS3 virtual switch, you don't see any fan information. Obviously, there is no fan on the virtual switches. So yes, so for example, on this switch, I have a MCLAC configuration. NTP, the sync status, jitter, offset, those information are also available. It's like time since last synchronized. It's available in the parameter called when, if you go into the Linux and check. DOM, this is the transceiver information, what all transceiver are inserted, as this is a virtual switch. So it's not possible to insert a transceiver into a virtual switch. So I switched back to a real switch. So you should see something. So yes, so DOM readings are also available there. Transceiver info, even the interface cable information is there. Now you see some threshold DOM information. You see some garbage values there. Currently, the DOM readings are not supported in case of the DAC cables. If you have optical cables connected, you see certainly the correct values. You can find it here. So I think I have mostly DAC cable connected. So these are about thresholds, and just at the panel below, you will find the real-time voltage and temperature, bias amperes, power. This is decibel milliwatts. So this is a real-time information directly coming from the switch. Now then lots of information on the interfaces. Oh, maybe I will have to switch again to a switch which has got some traffic on it. Yes, maybe this one. Yeah, this is DOM, this is interfaces. So it will take a while to load, but yeah. The interface operational status, of course, but you will see, okay, this also not really running any traffic, but you can have an idea what metrics you can monitor. So size of Ethernet frames, queued packet counter, queued byte counters, for example, transmitted and received byte. Oh yeah. Ethernet frames transmitted, Unix time since last flap of interface, administrators, of course. So here at the bottom, I have a PSU information, again, plugged in availability, how much voltage and amperes it is taking in and giving out. It's a simulated switch, so no information about it. But on the real switch, you should get one. SAG, if I have some configuration, yes, I have. So this is down. So whatever it is in the database of the SONiC, you will be able to find it here. And the BGP, of course, some peer status. Sorry. This is running slow, I guess. Yeah. So BGP status at first. What is your peer status? Connected, not connected. IPv4 and EVPN in both aspects. The peer uptime and the number of messages exchanged, any type of BGP or EVPN message exchanged, as well as the prefixes exchanged as well. You can monitor if that is of your interest. And at the end, yes, the EVPN monitoring. So yeah, if you see no data, it's the case when I don't have a correct configuration on the switch. So that's mostly the case. So this is a big dashboard. So I'm running out of time here already. I will quickly tell you about the link where you need not to design the dashboard which I have shown you. Roughly, you can basically download this JSON. That is the part of the repository of the SONiC exporter. And Grafana has a provision where you can import that JSON and you have your dashboard pre-built. And then from there, it's very easy to modify the panels. Okay, this look isn't good. I really need a bar chart instead of a graph here. I need a text. I need a table. So modification is quite easy on the top of this dashboard JSON. So please, questions. Yeah.
Two very quick ones. The first one is how do you actually install the containers on the switches? If you connect it to a registry or if you have to do it manually, how do you do it?
Yeah, you will have to do it manually currently. We have SONiC exporter Docker image published publicly on Docker Hub. So there is a single liner command mentioned on the repository. You copy and paste on the device, and roughly that's it, as far as it is concerned to SONiC exporter only. But apart from that, of course, you will have to do Grafana and Prometheus installation. These, as a part of this demo, I'm running on the containers. To run those things on the container, the command, single liner commands to start the Docker containers are also mentioned on the repository README page. So, okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And the second question, we see how well you are able to look at the information and the telemetry from the device. Do you also handle alerting?
What do you mean by other thing?
That if there is a fault, something wrong, that you raise an alert so that we can actually take action. Because okay. If you are an engineer working on the equipment, you are not going to spend your day just looking at the graphs. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I shown you a panel where there were some alerts configured. So these alerts are not coming from the device, but rather Grafana and Prometheus system is polling the data, and it found some abnormalities in the data. Then you can decide on the front end, on the application itself, oh, it's an alert. So this is how
It's directly through Prometheus and Grafana that you handle the alerting.
To be specific, it's through Grafana only.
Okay, thanks.
Although there is possibility to do it in Prometheus as well.
Thank you.
How often you are pulling the data from the switch?
Okay, that is totally customizable in Prometheus. It's 1 minute, I think. That's the default configuration. But you can do it whatever you want. I mean, you are free to choose your frequency. By default, it's 1 minute, I guess, in Prometheus.yaml. And the retention policy says the data will remain for 15 days. You can persist data longer or shorter as you.
And I saw you are connecting directly to the database, and you said you're also using the CLI.
Yeah.
And it runs within the container. Can you please give some clue how you're accessing CLI from within the container? And do you need to do any extra configuration in SONiC to access the Redis? And these kind of things. And if possible, is it only enterprise SONiC from Broadcom, or can you do it on the VS, for example, from Azure pipelines?
Okay, so last question I will answer first. This tool currently supports only Broadcom Enterprise SONiC. The reason is this tool heavily depends how your database is defined. I mean, we know this key will give us that thing from the Redis database. So this will work with only Broadcom Enterprise SONiC. And the other question is how we are reading. There is a project in the SONiC community itself, which gives you Python API, how to speak to Redis database. So we are using that in our code base to speak to database on the switch itself. As the exporter is running on the switch itself, so it can use the password from the switch right there. So it need not to travel over the wire.
You mentioned that this is basically running on the Broadcom enterprise one, right? So are there any plans to make this part of the upstream SONiC or synchronize with those people there, or?
Yeah, we would love to, and we would like people who can contribute to the project. We already have issues. People have reported. I want this to be supported on the community version. But yes, certainly we have plans, but we are looking for resources who can contribute to the project so that it works on the community version and more flavors of SONiC enterprise versions even.
But you so my question was also targeting, you want to keep this long-term as a separate project, or more move into the direction of letting this become a central part of SONiC itself at one point?
This will remain as it is because this is tightly bound to the tooling we are using here. This is Grafana, Prometheus. If you are asking in the direction of are you having any plans to adapt more traditional interfaces for network management like SNMP or GNMI, that is not existing here.
No,
so,
I mean the exporter. So basically just the Prometheus exporter. So would there be an option to let the Prometheus exporter or the SONiC exporter, you named it, I guess, become part of upstream SONiC?
Not really. We don't have that plan yet, but this exporter terminology is making more sense in the Prometheus ecosystem more than to the SONiC one. If you will visit the link I was mentioning before of the Prometheus, there is a variety of the exporters mentioned. For example, SNMP exporter, what it does, it's related to network, but what it is doing in the Prometheus ecosystem, because it's agent, Prometheus agent. So we will target first to make it official into the Prometheus list of exporters. But yes, it is specific to SONiC as well. So it supplies the SONiC specific metrics.
I was just thinking if it's part of the upstream SONiC, the pathway forward to becoming the official exporter might be a lot easier. Because if it's in the upstream SONiC, if it's the SONiC exporter for Prometheus in the upstream SONiC, that will be the exporter for SONiC in the Prometheus part as well. So that was my thinking there. But thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hello. Is it maybe possible or on the roadmap provisioning of the container for the collector through ZTP of the SONiC?
No,
SONiC?
not yet. No,
Okay.
we don't have any such plans at the moment.
Thank you.